Dear high school pupils, on behalf of Ukrainian-American Concordia University, I'm pleased to welcome you. Today we have a webinar, New Career for a New Ukraine, and we invited our member of the advisory board and the honorary professor of Ukrainian-American Concordia University, Paul Tomas. Paul Tomas, your floor, please.
Great. All right, well, hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. Thanks for having a great personal interest in education. What I'm going to do today is quickly introduce our university, and then I'm going to talk about the future industries of Ukraine, which are being established and growing as we speak. We're going to talk about the future of work. That would be you, your work, and then we're going to open it up for some questions and answers that we can provide you. So let's get started. We're not going to take a lot of your time on a beautiful Saturday. Let me do this. And then I'm going to ask the obvious Zoom question that you always have to ask. Can you see my PowerPoints? And then nobody will answer, but then maybe Olga will say, yeah, we can see your PowerPoints. Okay. Yeah. All right. I chose this title on purpose because you guys are actually very lucky, because you're living at the dawn of what will be Ukraine's greatest era. There's going to be not just new careers, there's going to be entirely new industries to work in. You're going to be the generation that truly builds a new Ukraine. Fantastic, unlimited opportunities. And as Olga mentioned, I am a member of the advisory board, honorary professor. It's a great honor for me to be associated with this university, because we're very different. We're private. We're not for profit. We teach exclusively in English, and we maintain very high academic and ethical standards in our programs. And I can assure you, accreditation agencies, companies, they care very much about this. They want to know that the diploma that you've earned, it has value. Okay, that it's something that they know is a statement to your stamina and endurance, because 4 years of a bachelor's program is a long time. It's a lot of hard work. So the one thing I want to share about our university is that we are accredited by FIBA of Germany. FIBA's an acronym. Everything in life now is an acronym. FIBA is a very prestigious accreditation agency in Germany. We're the only Ukrainian university that has earned this accreditation. What that means is that by being accredited in Germany, we're simultaneously accredited in Austria, Switzerland, Netherlands, and then we're subsequently accredited in the United Kingdom, Canada, and the United States. I'm particularly proud about that because, my academic career was based in America. What's important about this international accreditation is that it reflects the fact that we are very internationally oriented. Our courses, our degree programs, they're focused on business, they're focused on management, they're focused on Ukraine, but they're focused on Ukraine as part of a European world. Ukraine will join the European Union, and Ukraine will be a global player in a number of industries, which I'm going to mention here in a minute. Our accreditation and partnerships that we have with a couple dozen universities, this opens up some doors immediately for our students. we've listed here just 6 universities. They're in Canada, they're in Germany, they're in Britain, Turkey, the United States. These universities work with us to allow our students to study either in person, full-time at their campus, or through distance learning, one course or more than one course as you wish. I was just recently at the University of Trier in Germany, a super excellent university. We have a number of students studying there now full-time with their tuition, their living expenses paid for by, hello, Sergey, paid for by the Erasmus European Scholarship Program. I would mention that our partners such as Ascenda and Concordia, they do not charge extra money, okay, for our students to take these courses. And the reason our students have these doors open to them to take courses at prestigious universities like, the University of Applied Sciences or Trier is because we have good students. And we have good students because we have serious admissions requirements. Again, as I mentioned, we have high academic standards, high ethical standards. And so once our students have completed, one semester with us in your first year, you've already demonstrated that you're exactly the kind of international professional that other universities will be happy to admit for taking various courses, and companies will be happy to hire. Because of our degrees and our international focus, our accreditation, this opens doors for our alumni to work with Ukrainian companies who have an international presence, to work with European or British or American companies who have a Ukrainian presence. It's a global economy. And so we're trying to design our courses and our degree programs to help our students, fit into this global economy with all of its opportunities, all of its challenges. I alluded to these industries of the future, and here's 6 of them. And again, this is not pie in the sky stuff. Ukraine is doing all of this already. It's just that what we're doing today is a fraction of what we will do in next year and then 5 years and in 10 years. And these industries are very complementary. Renewable energy and green manufacturing is a perfect fit. Ukraine has huge potential for renewable energy. It also has then already established a large manufacturing base, very broad, very deep, from some simple manufacturing up to very, very sophisticated manufacturing. And so coupling renewable energy with green manufacturing, such as green steel, use renewable energy, produce hydrogen, use the hydrogen to produce steel. This is the cutting edge of where energy and especially manufacturing is going. And Ukraine is perfectly well placed with its human capital, its installed manufacturing and renewable energy capacity to exploit that. Robotics and aerospace go together. Okay, we all know about all the stories of success in drones and things like that. I'm using robotics in a very, very broad sense, because robotics is also advanced manufacturing. Robotics is everything from a robotic welding machine in an automobile assembly plant, all the way to a personal robot assistance for elderly people, and everything in between. And Ukraine is very well positioned to do this because we've demonstrated to the world now how advanced our capabilities are in the broad area of robotics, and then also aerospace. Ukraine is one of the few countries in the world that is really active directly, continuously in the aerospace industry. Ukraine works with the European Space Agency. Ukraine works with NASA. NASA and Ukraine was part of a very advanced, important project with NASA called the Antares missile system. Okay, so, space missiles, and the entire first stage of that Antares rocket was produced in the Yuzhmas factory, designed and produced to exacting standards, like it's just unbelievably exacting standards. Okay, so this kind of aerospace and robotics, these are complementary. They're going to continue. Ukraine will have a major role to play in the privatization of space industries and building colonies on the moon, someday mining asteroids, because you don't have very many countries that have the scientific capability, the long experience that Ukraine has. I mentioned agribusiness. Yes, Ukraine is a global player in agriculture, but we're 8 billion people. We're headed during your lifetime to probably a peak of 10. That's a lot of food, and Ukraine is obviously well positioned to go up and up and up the value added chain from agriculture to agribusiness. And once it joins the European Union, it's going to have just access to, almost 500 million people in a market. Okay, preferential access as well as to the entire world. And I mentioned lastly trade and logistics. Excuse me. Geography does matter. Ukraine's geography has sometimes been a curse, but it's mostly a blessing, because Ukraine is just absolutely perfectly positioned to be a major manufacturing center for Europe because of the proximity, geographic proximity. Once we have the opportunity to build a real 21st century quality and scale of railroads and highways, Ukraine is going to become a major trade and logistics center where businesses can be centered in Ukraine, but they can sell directly to all of Asia, directly to all of South Asia, directly to the Middle East, North Africa. So I want to emphasize, before we quickly move on, I want to emphasize the word industries. Now, you guys may be thinking, well, look, I'm not going to I don't see myself working directly in the robotics or aerospace or green manufacturing. This is why I use the word industries, and I want to emphasize that. An industry is not one company doing one thing. An industry is a huge ecosystem of many different kinds of companies that are directly and indirectly related to the core activity, such as aerospace or green manufacturing. You may have a company that is producing steel, but it is also then generating huge investment and business opportunities in all of these other companies, often some of them small, some of them mid-sized, that will provide, various products and services to the main manufacturing center. You get one successful manufacturer of anything, and you're going to get competition. There'll be 2 of them, 3 of them. You have a huge, what we call an economic multiplier effect, economic multiplier. People in these kinds of advanced industries get paid high wages, and they spend those high wages for housing and education, right? And food and clothing and entertainment and all kinds of small and medium-sized businesses that don't have anything to do with manufacturing or agribusiness or renewable energy. They grow because they're providing products and services for people who are employed in all of these companies, from movie theaters to cafes. So these industries will create a very large, very powerful stimulus for the broader and broader and deeper development of the Ukrainian economy. And let me just say in closing on this topic, again, this is not pie in the sky stuff. I've owned and operated businesses, lived in Ukraine for almost 30 years now. These industries exist in Ukraine, okay? But they exist temporarily under difficult conditions. But the fact that they exist proves what we economists call a comparative advantage, or what a business people would call a competitive advantage. Okay, the fact that we're already doing these things proves that these are real industries. All we need now is the space to grow and to develop. And as you look out 10, 20, 30 years, you're going to see all of these industries become major global industries centered in Ukraine. All right, let me quickly try to go here on the future of work. Like it or not, you have to work in your future. And let me just put these up here, and I'll explain these with a little personal story. As you go forward over seriously 10, 20, 30, 40 years, you are going to have to continuously upskill yourself. Everything that you know in 1 year it becomes increasingly outdated as time goes on. So education now is not something that you do and then you don't do it again. It never stops. And it's not only that you're upskilling, but as the world becomes more integrated and interconnected and complicated, you have to become multi-skilled. You have to develop a working knowledge of more than just one thing. You don't have to have 10 degrees, but you do have to have a solid understanding of other professions that interact with yours. That's what I mean by multidisciplinary and interconnected. And on a very personal level, you have to be versatile and adaptive. So here's my little personal story. When I got out of my graduate school from University of California, Santa Barbara, top 20 economics department, put a plug in there. When I got out, I had specialized in environmental economics. And then I got hired by the US government to be a mineral economist, to work on behalf of our defense and security agencies and study the international supply of strategic critical minerals that our Defense Department was very interested in. Problem is, I didn't know anything about mineral economics, because mineral economics and environmental economics are, they're different animals. So I immediately had to start multi-skilling myself. Not only did I have to quickly learn about mineral economics to a very deep level, because I was an economist, right? But I also had to supervise an office of different types of professionals, which meant I can't work with them, do joint research with them, oversee their research if I have no idea what they do. So I had to develop a working knowledge, not a degree, okay, but a solid working knowledge of geology and mining engineering and metallurgical engineering. That, for me, not the most exciting subjects, but I had no choice because I'm in a multidisciplinary, interconnected, global, research organization. And then as my life went forward, decade after decade, I didn't just have different jobs. And this is what's going to happen with you too. And it's a good thing. It's not scary. It's a great thing. I didn't have different jobs. I had different careers. I went from working as a research scientist in the government to being a professor at a university to I've worked at big corporations. I've had any number of my own small businesses. And there's to go from small business to working, for example, at IBM, where I used to work, or a big university and then a big government. These are not different jobs. These are radically different careers. And to succeed, I actually didn't appreciate this till I looked back and realized that the reason I succeeded is not because I was really smart. The world is full of smart people. And not because I worked hard. The world's full of people who work hard. But because, sort of psychologically, emotionally, I was versatile and adaptive. You roll with the punches, as they say. So this is what the future of your work will look like. The work may someday stop, but the education will never stop. The demands for you to be multi-skilled, multidisciplinary, that's never going to change. And let me tell you, the pace of change, okay, and you guys know this too, and you go talk to your parents and, they'll also tell you what I'm going to say, which is, gosh, the pace of change in our world is just increasing and increasing. Things don't just change. They change rapidly by leaps and bounds. And so the ability to be adaptable is really crucially important. I'm also going to mention this. Everybody, for a long, long time now, everybody talks about, automation and AI, and we're going to lose our jobs, and that's all a bunch of nonsense. Some jobs will be lost, some jobs will be created. Every job will be changed, and being optimistic, I think automation AI will enhance most jobs. But what automation and AI isn't going to do is reduce the importance of the human future of work. In economics, that if a factor of production is scarce, it has a high value. And what's really scarce now in our global workforce, as we continue automation, AI, other terms like that, what's really in demand are human beings who are creative, who know how to build teams and cooperate, who know how to communicate, who understand critical thinking. So when they get overwhelmed with huge amounts of data and chat GPT answers, which is fine, just a tool, they know how to separate, the wheat from the chaff. They understand what's important. They know how to work with people and communicate, cooperate. And they have something that automation will never have, creativity. Only a human being can think of something that's never been thought of before. AI can't, because AI can only think of what's in its database, no matter how big, how sophisticated. We talk about machine learning, yes, but it's machine learning based on the inputs. But only Isaac Newton could sit there and say, gosh, I think there's something, a force here called gravity. Can't see it, can't prove it, but I think it's there. Wow, right? From being a madman to being recognized as probably the greatest scientist of all time. So creativity, this is something that you have, and you have to turn on your creativity like opening a big valve on a big water pipe and just let it all out. Somebody once gave me a compliment, someone I was working with, and they said, Paul was the source of the seven best and the 3 worst. I'm sorry, I said it backwards. Paul was the source of the 3 best and the 7 worst ideas I've ever heard in my life. And I'm thinking, wow, that's a compliment, because that's 30%. Wow, okay, that's good. So creativity. Let me, the reason we were talking about these industries of the future and what the future of your work's going to look like, this is why we have designed the bachelor's and master's degree programs the way we have, why we have certain faculty, why we emphasize certain things. If you're someone who's really interested in the international, fine, you can get a bachelor's degree in international economic relations. Okay, this is fine for business, but it's also fine for government, for the social sector, any kind of international financial institutions. There's straight up international business. And if you're someone who is more interested in the administrative side of businesses, first of all, good for you. You can get your bachelor's degree in management. We have a special program in IT management, which I hasten to add is management of IT companies, not just understanding IT systems and how to use them in your company, but literally managing IT companies. Those of you who are interested in things such as accounting or marketing or finance or straight up management, I say good for you, because for every one entrepreneur who comes up with a good idea that very possibly can be commercialized and be successful, well, for that one entrepreneur to be successful, she has to find like 9 people to manage the company. Right? Entrepreneurs are good at being entrepreneurs. They're usually not so good at being managers. And no matter how brilliant you are, you can't be your own brand manager, your own marketing manager, your own accountant, your own financial guy. You can't be your own economist trying to figure out where the industry's going, where this product market's going. So there always will be a demand for management. And if you like management and international business, you can combine those two. So this is why we've structured everything to be very internationally oriented. Because again, we teach in English, we follow the American academic system. You know, we're accredited and very, very much engaged with high quality universities in Europe, in Canada, in the United States. So let me end with just putting this up. The reason I love this slide is not only can you communicate with us, to go to our website, but gosh, we even still have telephone numbers. We have email. And this is what I really love. You, by yourself, with your parents, come down and talk to us in person. Olga would love to meet you. Galina, everyone in our administrators would love to sit down with you and your parents in person and talk about your dreams, your goals, your interests. So I'll leave that there. These you can get it off PowerPoints later. So let's have me stop talking. That's always a good idea. And let's see if anybody has any questions, any comments on anything. Fact of the matter is, most people are not that comfortable talking publicly live on Zoom. In the classes I participate in, I actually encourage people to be comfortably quiet if that's who they are. I'm obviously a very extroverted person. I always sat in the front row of every class, and I just always had a million questions and comments, except one time. Okay, one time when I was a graduate student, I finally got to a course that scared me to death. It was a PhD level course in mathematical economics. And I sat there for the entire 10 weeks of the class. It was a portrait system. And I sat there for the entire 10 weeks of the class just praying that the professor would never call on me to answer a question. He was one of these old style guys who said, hey, get up and go to the blackboard and start working on this, 17th order differential equation. And I sat there just terrified. Now I did pass the course. I got a B+ in that one. It was a tough one. But I honestly sat there in every class, and I had no idea what this guy was talking about. Once I'd gone back to the textbook and the practice questions and, studied quietly and alone, then I felt great. But then I'd go to class and here would come a new topic and I would sit there just, not understanding and terrified. So don't worry about that. You got to keep your brain working all the time and speaking when you feel like it.
Okay, if no question, I would like to address to high school pupils. Please, if you want to get deep knowledge of English, if you would like to get more knowledge in management, finance, business, and so on, please do not hesitate to visit our site. Just contact with us directly. Visit university to take a part at our business English competition and so on. You are welcome anytime. So please join us any suitable time and ask us a question, and we will try to reply all your question, and you are welcome. Thank you.
All right, take care, everybody. Hope to see you, and hope to have the pleasure of having you in some classes that I participate in. Thanks for your time. Bye-bye.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Paul Thomas, for your time. Thank you, dear colleagues, and thank you, high school pupils. Thank you for your time. See you soon. Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.